So we'll establish a quorum. Loris,
Here.
Brandon.
Here.
Hines.
Here.
This is in here, Nan is on vacation, Laura.
Here.
So we do have a quorum. Barely, barely. Do we have any announcements? Do we have any public comments? All right, then we'll move right on to new business. Let's just get out of the way. Let's approve the minutes. So I sent y'all the minutes for the June 1 training workshop. Do we have any discussion on those?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
Any conversation? All in agreement?
Aye.
Passed unanimous. And we have the July 11 minutes. And they were for the public hearing. Do we have any discussion on those minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve those.
I'll second. So I want to make a point here.
Okay, so we've got a second for Lawrence, but we're gonna have some discussion there, is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's another thing. You just had me down as approving the motion, which is the second the motion. I don't know that I can
Where
approve
is
it.
that now?
It's on the second
On the
page.
last page?
Yeah, last page, right before we adjourn.
Okay,
And has Commissioner Perkins approved the motion? Well, I don't know that I can approve the motion. I guess by seconding it, you do, but I don't. It's just a word to kind of,
so she didn't put in who actually approved it.
you know,
Uh,
you did.
Well,
Commissioner
somebody approved it, somebody seconded it. Let me see if I have it on my notes.
It's a minor thing, but I thought, well,
Commissioner DeVincio seconded the motion. I'll make a note. I'll
Okay.
correct those for you.
okay,
And then you seconded that motion. Is that
Right.
correct?
Right.
Okay. I'll correct that. And so now, if the motion's going to be that you'll accept that, you'll have to do it again.
I
With
make a
change-
motion to accept the minutes with that one.
with the change to
Yes.
the approval.
Perfect.
second,
Any more discussion? All agree? I didn't touch that. Okay, so what we have up next is going to be the discussion on the Los Altos subdivision, Phase 1, final plat, located at 11th Street and Mesquite. And the owner is Hugo Alonso Jr., JLE Investment Properties LLC. So do you want to say anything, Warren, before we begin this discussion?
Sure.
So I'm just going to kind of give you an update. A couple of years ago in 2020, Planning Commission heard and then City Council approved the PDD for Los Altos, which would include the Phase 1 and Phase 2. So since then, and with that PDD, I attached the PDD on there. You approved the concept plan. There was also a public hearing at the time, which is why there isn't one now. So at the final plat stage, they have already received approval for their plans. They provided their plans in accordance with what they did in the PDD, and then the final plat is basically just affirming it. And you can do either way. Usually we want the plans and the plat kind of submitted at the same time, but their plans are approved. So if you've seen some work there, they've been doing some drainage work. They may be doing some underground, but they haven't started the actual work on the project, but they've done some preliminary work. So it's 10 single-family lots, 1 open space reserve as approved by the PDD, on 1.94 acres north of 11th Street and Mesquite Street. And then it is also touching Green Lawn Parkway as well. So the building lines, everything matches what's in the PDD. And I think I got you some bigger size plots. You can see that. It has met all the requirements as far as the PDD goes. Questions of staff?
Okay, I look back and it looked like, even though it's not on here, I could look at the smaller one that you sent us with the magnifying glass. And they're all 6,500 square feet, 6,500 square feet or more. So they're all
Yes.
in alignment with that.
It is.
Up a little bit, but they all are over 6,500.
Everything's over 6,500. And then instead of parkland dedication, they actually did parkland, or what they call open space. And that was part of the PDD
Right.
at the time.
And now, and I didn't see on here, it's hard for me to tell, but you probably know this. The setback in the front, all of those did go to the 10 feet, right?
Yeah, so on that second page, when I sent it to you, there should be on, if you look at the big plot that you have, they should have listed the bill, because I did a markup beforehand before it came to you, and I asked that either they put the building lines on the plat or they do it by note. So in the notes section, they put in 10-foot building lines, and I think the product they're doing, unfortunately, I don't think the applicant's here, but he said he couldn't make it today. But I know they were doing some 0 lot lines on the side. So that's what you had approved before.
And that's what we approved. So
Yes,
then
ma'am.
everything that we see on here, the staff, the administration has looked at it, and it agrees to the PDD
Yeah.
that we passed previously.
Right. It was before I got here, so I had to read the PDD as I was looking at it, and it matches everything. Yes, ma'am.
I mean, I just commented on a couple because I did go back, I could see those, but that in trouble. Does anyone else have any discussion on it?
I have 2 questions.
Sure.
So the part where Cedar Street was that already city property, or is that
Can you see the name of the street?
Cedar Street?
Cedar Street was city property. I think it was a closed road. It never was in use, and it looks like they're using that as open space, and that was agreed to in the PDD.
And
Yeah.
that will be, it says it will be for the residents and the public.
That's
Not
correct.
For the public record.
That's right.
Yes.
And then the other thing I saw was in the PDD
Hmm.
section, or attachment A to it, section 2.4.10 about sidewalks, is that it says the concrete sidewalks will be 5 feet in width.
Yes.
And then on exhibit F, on the very last page, number 4 says will be 4 feet wide.
Oh, well, I don't know if I can answer that, but I'm gonna answer part of it. Any subdivision we do today, the requirement's a 4-foot sidewalk. Some communities want 5 foot, and I'd have to look at the PDD a little closer to make sure to see if it's 4 or 5. I didn't know. That's why we do this, because sometimes people see things that I don't see. I just saw the 4, but if there is and it may be just a requirement on 5 on a certain side of the street. And it may be that maybe 5 on one side and not on the other. For example, well, I guess they're all 55, so maybe they all could be 5, but 5 is what would be ADA accessible, and 4 generally isn't. But I'll have to double check that. But I don't have an answer for if it's 4 or 5. But whatever it is, we'll make sure they do that. I appreciate it.
And we can look back at what was approved.
Right, we'll have to look at what was approved, but what she's saying is that it says 4 in one place and 5 in the other. Since I wasn't here back then, even if I was, I wouldn't remember what we did 2 years ago. We'll have to double check that.
Just another thing on the sidewalks, it says like on 11th Street on the north side, there's a 5-foot public access easement.
Okay.
Is that where the sidewalks will be, or will they be on the city street?
So, okay, so sidewalks, generally, sidewalks are on city right of way. They're not gonna be on an easement. And the reason for that is if you're the property owner and you own a lot, you're not gonna want that sidewalk to actually be. So looking at the plans, I believe when I looked at the plans there, the sidewalk was in the right of way, but you generally wouldn't want it in the lot anyway, because you wouldn't want individual property owners being liable for the sidewalk. Okay. You bet.
Okay, on that same page that you have the full through, if you look on number 1, they're talking about, it says extend 8-inch diameter wastewater mains from existing city of Blanco manholes situated near 10th Street. It says west of Greenlawn Parkway. It would be east, should be east of Greenlawn Parkway, at Mesquite and Love Street. We just got it wrong.
Let me do this the right way so I can look. Okay. You said it said east or you said it said west?
It says west, but it should be east.
What page is that on?
It's on page 117. What it says here. This one, the page that you just had.
It should be east of Green Lawn Parkway,
Right,
correct?
right.
Yes, you're right. I'm looking at it now. Yes, it should be east of Green Lawn Parkway. So you're looking at the PDD. And that's okay.
Yeah.
So we'll have to amend. Let me write these down. So
Well, now you're talking about number 3,
Number 1.
number 1.
number 1. No, you're correct.
Because when we look at, you weren't looking at item number 3, you're looking at item number 1 on
Right.
page 17.
Right.
So that's the first item, and the second item is Laura's, which is the 5 or the 4. And I'll have to look at whether they're talking about different sides of the street. Okay. Okay.
I have a question regarding drainage. For the lots numbered 1, 2, and 3, how would water drain from those lots? I see on 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 drainage easement on north of 11th Street, but on 1, 2, and 3, and 4, there's no drainage easement.
So look at the PUE.
Yeah.
PUE for this plat. Okay, so you're saying there's not a channel there.
I mean, it's just not to me clear which way water would drain from the lots 1, 2, 3, and 4. Would it drain north or would it drain south? Would it drain south? How would you get across?
Okay, that's in your packet. Did you not get that?
There should be
Show the drainage.
Oh,
Would you have
I
that?
did
You
not
wanna
see
read
that.
it?
I did not see that.
You hand it back to me.
So if they reviewed the plans and they approved the drainage, and I don't remember if the sheet flows or if there should actually be an easement that goes from 1, 2, and 3 to 7, and then on to the drainage easement, which is recorded by this plat.
Okay.
And the drainage is the problem there, so it's a very little question that we get correct. Make sure it's, Just because that was the drainage plan. that was there. So all of this is going according to this plan that you sent us.
Mhm.
All of this looks like it's going to drain southwest.
To that drainage easement on the corner of Green Lawn and 11th.
Yeah.
Right.
Was that your question?
Yeah.
And I think you said, Warren, that they're cleaning out that, and I'll look it up what we had last time. When we approved it, but seems like that you're supposed to open that drainage up down on Greenlawn.
They are.
It wouldn't just come out and then flood it. But this-
That's correct. So the section 1 plans have been approved. They are going to be submitting section 2 very
We
soon.
don't have it. We're not-
Right, we don't have that yet,
right now.
But I have talked to them and they are going to clean out that ditch.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, I'm not that familiar with flats, but can one assume that the 20-foot drainage easement from 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 continues across the lot 11 also, which is public utility easement?
Yes. And what we could do is we could label that. What we could do is we could label at 1, 2, and 3, 15-foot PUE and DE per this plat. If we're looking at that and we're concerned about 1, 2, and 3, because I believe there's a channel there that's going to feed into that easement between 7 and 8 and then go there. Now, I just did a real quick review that Ardura actually looked at it, but I looked at everything as we saw. Okay, so I'll go ahead and make that. That's just a real minor change. Not a big deal. But when you do make whatever recommendation you make, you will want to include the 2 items from Loris and from Laura.
The sidewalk and the, change to east on Green Lawn on page 17.
Yes, ma'am.
That's the 2 that you're not speaking.
Correct.
And when I went over there and just drove that, and I know very little about drainage other than when it floods. And so, but it looks like that they have installed some underground drainage because you can see that up on the property. So it's not like this drainage is going to all be on surface. Is that correct?
That's correct. I also thought there'd be a slight swale in there as well. I think it's a tube and it's a slight swale, so it can catch. But there is a tube. You're correct, and so you're not going to see all that water. It's underground drainage.
Yeah, because I could see several areas that they had installed drainage underneath them.
So French drains across.
I don't know if it's a French drain, but I do know that there's going to be there's underground drainage, and I believe there's also going to be just a slight swale on that as well. Yeah.
Well, when we get to 2, we'll probably be asking you about that. So that might
Oh.
be something you want to
You bet.
make sure you have answers. for us
Absolutely.
back there. Right now, that's not what we're looking at, but
Okay.
we'll be on
Sure.
phase 2.
And that's probably coming. The plat's probably coming in the next month or 2. So you may see it in the next one or the one after.
Anything else, you guys? Are you thinking, Laura? You're done. Loris?
Well, I'm glad they're been in their phases. You know, that was a question that we had when it was first approved. You kind of showed there's only 22 lots that were going to be put in, but obviously the bank needed phases.
Right. Brandon? Fine, more questions?
No more questions from myself.
Thank you.
Okay, can I hear a motion?
Also, make that motion that we approve the plat as submitted to us
I second that.
with the changes.
We approve the plat as submitted. Once the changes or the questions are addressed.
Right, right.
Okay, so Loris approves the plat as submitted with the council addressing the questions that we,
And I second that motion.
any other conversation? All in agreement? Thank you, folks, passed unanimously.
this sketch was very helpful for my understanding of the,
Yes, I just pulled that up because it was just really, yeah.
because otherwise I would have had some questions, you know, like where the building's supposed to be.
Yes, I went back and pulled that from, the preliminary plat last time in June, and then I matched it to what, Warren sent to us, so it's fun it was there.
Well, I'm gonna be interested to see with a zero lot. The houses that they're showing are not zero lot line type structures.
Pardon me?
They're
Put
not,
your microphone down so we can.
well,
Now we can get on,
okay,
and you have to turn it off.
okay.
you go.
Okay.
The house is what?
The houses that they show in this packet
Yes.
are not zero lot line type structures.
Well, this isn't zero lot line.
It
It's
is.
15 feet between the houses, and the driveways will go up the side of the house. So it won't be like a zero lot line. And if I'm wrong, Warren, you can correct me, but that's not what I,
It says in here that it's a zero lot line and then also a 15 foot on the side too.
I think one side's gonna be 0.
Yeah,
side,
right.
and the other side of the house is
Yeah.
15.
Right.
the
But,
one,
but if you can imagine having a zero lot line house,
Yeah.
you don't have any windows that open up on that side. If you look at the houses that are shown in the packet, they are not zero lot line type houses.
Well, they don't have any windows on the, you know, like if you look on page 15, in that side, that would be on the zero lot line, there's no windows.
I'm just taking one minute and never do that.
Well, I think, Warren, maybe you can,
Yeah.
shed some light on that, on the zero lot line, can the overhang from the roof be over the lot line?
Yeah, it can as long as it's not cantilevered. So if you just have like 18 inches and you're allowed to do 18 inches, it can be over the lot line. That's why when you have, 10 feet between buildings, they're not truly 10 foot, they're usually 6 or 7.
I think that the zero lot line is on the side that you have the driveway. So the house is not up against the next house, the house and then the driveway and then the next house. And so that's why what y'all see where they, I think I just gave you that. And so if y'all look at the way they have located the homes on the right-hand side. Yeah.
I've seen, so I'll say this, one of the difficulties is, and this is why I ask that applicants come so they can explain, because I'm here to represent the plat team, I'm here to represent the city side of it. I'm not here to advocate for the developer. So yes, I actually agree with you, Ms. Moore, but I didn't really study that part because that's not part of the plat. I get, and we've looking at the plans, but we don't have the house plans yet. We just have the actual set of plans. But I think you're right.
We have the drawings. I
You do.
mean, they did give us the lot layout and how the houses were going to be there.
Right.
And that's what I gave to the folks here. Now, this is from 6/1/20 when we approved it, so it's
Yeah.
not, I don't have the one today. But then what was said in that meeting, and we questioned this zero lot line then, you weren't on the commission now. So that the zero lot line is on the driveway side. So with the 15 feet, I mean, you would not have a house up against another house. That's what I'm saying. You have a house, the driveway, and that 15 feet in there, that zero lot line is on the driveway side.
So exactly what she said, and I'll add that what you're looking at is your one side of your house has a 15-foot side yard. You have a side yard, and so but you're 15 feet away from each house. So you'll have a house right against the lot line, and you have 15-foot. That guy next to you will have a 15-foot yard, and then you have another 15-foot. So it looks like 15 each way, but you're on
Yes, it
against the
looks
lot
like 15.
line.
And the reason is he had to put the driveway in because he has to have the parking in the back along with either the carport or the garage. Must be in the back. And so the driveway was why, if you remember, Lawrence,
Yeah.
why that we approved it. Otherwise, we wouldn't have. If they had been house against house, we wouldn't even have approved it.
Smaller lot product generally does something like this. So
So it may be called a zero lot line housing, which it probably is, but it's
But
not.
they're not two houses stuck together. Yeah.
Is that kind of ringing in memory?
I'll be interested to see the plans.
Yeah, we don't have the lot
Yeah,
layout.
yeah, I know.
And, I don't, and when we do, when he starts the building, will we be able to see that? Warren, will that come back to us? for us to
It will
look at or
not, that's just house plans that will go to Bureau Veritas for review.
Okay,
And they'll make sure that they're following whatever plan, was in the PDD. So this is the last time you'll see phase one. You'll see phase two next month or two.
but all we'll be doing then, again, is approving the plat. stuff, okay? Because we approved everything, as long as it stays within the PDD, we won't see it yet.
That's correct. If they have to do an amendment or for anything, you'll see it again if they have to amend the PDD for some reason.
Yeah, there are two corrections. Any more discussion on that, folks? I like to look at those homes. I looked at them just there. I think they're great.
I like it.
No? Yeah.
Like,
Okay, so, the last thing that we have on our agenda is the introduction of John Wheeler. Is he here tonight?
Yeah, we'll introduce him and
With, community compliance, the city of
I'm
Blaine.
gonna say, I'm gonna say a couple of words from him. I'll let him say a couple things. I have been just swamped, so I hadn't sent it yet, but I get reports from him once a week on everything he's doing, and I can go ahead and send that to you in council. But we have what we call a community compliance officer, and he is working towards getting his code officer certification. But we can't call him that since he doesn't have it yet. But he'll be working with me a little bit with PD. So far, he's pulled down 35 to 40 bandit signs, streamer signs. You know, there's still going to be a few things. He's going for the low-hanging fruit first. But also, I will say he has repurposed a Tahoe that was actually the Chiefs' old car. So if you see something that looks like a Chiefs car, don't worry. It's just Jonathan. But Jonathan Wheeler, you want to say a few words? And
my question more.
sure.
Is there a difference between, you said, compliance officer and code enforcement
So
officer?
a code enforcement officer has to be certified in the state of Texas. And so we did put out a thing for it. Nobody in the county has that certification yet. Jonathan's working towards it. So anything that goes as far as actual enforcement will have to go through the police department. That's the rule. But hopefully next year or so he'll get his code enforcement certification. And he can explain that a little better than me. But you know, want to make sure the first thing is we just need a body to go out, take a look at high weeds, look at different things, and he's doing a great job. He's been here a couple of weeks, but hopefully you notice a little bit of change, and change comes slowly, but hopefully. Jonathan, you want to say a couple of words?
Sure.
About you?
Yeah, so just to kind of emphasize on your question.
You sure your phone, your phone, thank you.
Sorry about that. So to emphasize on your question, so code enforcement officer, they're able to issue citations for code violations. I'm unable to do that. So with the assistance of Blanco PD, if code violations were to get to that degree, I would have them get involved with me. But I can still enforce city codes by alerting citizens of those violations, giving them alternatives on how to correct them, and giving them a time frame of doing so. So I'm kind of like the pre-enforcement of it. But yeah, as Warren said, I'm working on my code enforcement license. It's a 40-hour class followed by a year of experience. So hopefully in about a year, I can get that license and then officially be certified in the state of Texas as a code enforcement officer. I come from another city where I helped with inspections in the right of way. Also did parking enforcement as well with them. So I've got some experience with enforcement. affidavits, stuff like that. So that'll come into use once I do get that code enforcement license. Some of the stuff I've worked on so far, again, was taking down all the bandit signs in town. All the feather banners as of today have been removed off 281. Working on high vegetation, high grass type issues, and working on cleaning up some neighborhoods, getting some junk debris out. So it'll be a slow process, but as time goes on, hopefully y'all will see a change, and hopefully everyone else in the community will see that change. So
Thank you. Glad to have you.
good to be here.
And I forgot to mention, he's here 20 hours a week, so he's part-time. We'll see if this grows, if we do different things with him, but we're very excited, and that's it. But I wanted you to kind of see that, and I'll send you and council the report on the things he's been working on. I just been kind of looking at that stuff first to kind of make sure it's in the right format, but we'll get that too.
So, should anyone ask if anyone sees anything, then they need to send it to Jonathan, is it right?
Yes, and I don't have any cards yet. They've been ordered, but I do have a city email address and a city cell phone. So they're more than welcome to email me, give me a call, send me a text.
It's on the website, I think it is, isn't it? Did I see it on the website already?
I think it is, and if it's not, I'll get the mayor to put it on, but I thought it was. So, and then what I'll do is I'm sending you an email tomorrow on a couple of things, and I'll send you his contact info. You bet. I think it's yeah.
So what did you tell me your background was then? They call it a community service right now.
Yeah, it's community compliance right now. Like I said, I've got almost 5 years with another city, doing various different jobs there. I did parking enforcement initially, working right of way. So I do inspections on all types of construction work that's in the right of way for a large city. On top of that, I've got an associate's degree in criminal justice, working on my bachelor's, also working on my code enforcement license, various different certifications in emergency management. I'm a volunteer firefighter as well. So, the fire safety knowledge also goes into effect as there is city ordinances on those. So, I'll be working closely with our fire department here to ensure that we make this community a safe community. So.
Perfect. And I guess that Warren's bringing up to date on the zoning so that you can
Yep.
keep an eye out for that.
Exactly. And to keep an eye on new construction, old construction, all different types of stuff. Make sure that everyone's got the right permits in place. Make sure everything is built to code, international building code, and just make sure that everyone's in compliance.
Because a lot of it you can't see it. Some of these lots are pretty big. Did you have a question, Lars?
No.
Anyone else? Thank you very much, Jonathan. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the city.
Thank you for having me.
Anything else that anyone wants to discuss? Yeah? Can I get a motion?
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
On agreement? Passed. Adjourned. 7:09.